Appreciation. People very appreciative of the structuring of the 2 days and how it allowed them to really dig deeper and reflect first on their practice, reflect on their relationships and their networks, reflect on their culture of learning and their approach to learning. And today was fantastic because the reflections were around critical relationships and networks and connection beyond a funder's presence.
Yesterday was fantastic and today was even better. Today was great because it created the opportunity to make those connections with other organizations, and that's why it's important for us to link up and say, right, how can we build on what we have? Because lots of the organizations have platforms already, and the sense I get is that people aren't really speaking to each other. Yes, we have connections with you and with you, but it's not tangible. And it's about how do we take this forward. So like the opportunities for us, for instance, to hook up with Black Sash.
So I think one of the big things was just the reflections over the last community of practices. For me to reflect what I've remembered, thought of, what I found useful, but to hear what others, it was just such a reminder that you guys can all be in the same space and pick up so strongly very, very different things.
The event generally was a good time to reflect because we already implemented MOBI and now it's then what? So it's a good way to reflect on the way forward.
What do I take away from the 2 days is that networking is really quite important. We take for granted some of the skills that we have and what we can offer. So I think that just stood out now in the last day by asking everybody what problem you're sitting with and how do you solve the problem. So what one sits with as a problem, another one might have quite a simple solution. And then I think we need to rely more on each other. And that comes through quite a lot for me.
That we actually have a fairly good system in place already, and everyone else is also in that tiering period as well. And we shouldn't see ourselves as doing really badly. I mean, we've got the infrastructure in place, and it speaks to the importance of investing in that infrastructure and understanding what the challenges have been from other organizations and how can we strengthen what we're doing and how can we harness what we're doing to help each other out and synergize.
I think there were critical things about perhaps there's so much we could have done had we connected earlier on. There was also reflections around should we not have had like smaller regional networks, smaller networks, as opposed to depending on a community of a practice whenever there was one. So there was a reflection on the skills, expertise, and what people have around them that they had not appreciated for a very long time. So there was a reflection on their own assumptions, their approach, them putting themselves out there and connecting with others. So there was a lot of that yesterday.
Just managed to talk to some of the people we are already working with on certain campaigns. It's been a while, so Sash is an example. Aruo, who'd been our main contact person, is no longer with Sash. So not everybody in the organization seems to know what we had been doing. So this was also just important to connect on that level again and be like, what's next, and then hearing what people are up to in different ways. It's like, oh, in this way you can add this tactic to what we're already doing, or this adds value to whatever else we're thinking of doing, even if it's not a direct partnership. So yeah, that was really, really amazing.
I was discussing with a woman from the Gauteng government. You know how usually when we're talking as civil societies and initiatives, we tend to say a lot of negative things about the government. So I hadn't noticed her badge. So I was busy talking, and then so she was just there. And then when I was done, she's like, oh, okay, what are you about? Let's talk. So you actually get to also now like associate with people and actually get to understand their side. but understand how their funding also goes. What are their restrictions as well? How us, we can also not just be there just to point fingers or anything, but also help capacitate them so that we all get to the goal that we want to get to.